I never believed in demons until I became their keeper. My name is Father Marcus Benedetti, and for the past 7 years, I've served as a warden in the most classified location within Vatican City, a place that doesn't appear on any map, mentioned in no official document, and denied by every cardinal who knows of its existence. We call it the Nephilim Vault, though that name barely scratches the surface of what lies beneath the ancient stone floors of St. Peter's Basilica. My recruitment was unusual. I was a young priest, eager and idealistic, working in the Vatican archives when Cardinal Torretti approached me one winter evening. He asked me a single question that would change my life forever. Father Benedetti, do you believe that evil can be contained? I gave him the answer he wanted to hear, though I didn't understand the weight of those words. 3 days later, I was escorted through a series of passages I'd never seen, descending deeper and deeper beneath the Vatican until we reached a massive bronze door engraved with symbols I recognized from obscure demonology texts. Behind that door was my new assignment: 5 fallen angels, chained in cells of blessed iron and sanctified stone, their wings torn and blackened, their eyes burning with an eternal hatred that made my blood freeze. Cardinal Torretti handed me a leather-bound journal and spoke words that still echo in my nightmares. These rules are not suggestions, Father. They are the only barrier between you and damnation. Follow them exactly, or you will suffer a fate worse than death. The journal contained 17 rules. I've memorized every one, though I wish I could forget them. Let me share what I learned so you might understand the horror I face every single day. Rule 1. Never make direct eye contact with any of the fallen for longer than 3 seconds. Their gaze can pierce your soul and plant thoughts that aren't your own. I learned this truth during my first week when I stared at the entity we call Azrathel for perhaps 5 seconds. That night, I woke to find myself standing in my quarters with a knife pressed against my own throat, no memory of how I got there. The compulsion faded only when I recited the Litany of Protection 17 times. The scar on my neck serves as a permanent reminder of my carelessness. Rule 2. The feeding must occur exactly at midnight, not a minute before, not a minute after. They consume blessed wine mixed with 3 drops of consecrated blood from a willing priest. I am that priest. The ritual of feeding is excruciating. As the chalice touches their lips, their chains burn white hot, and the screams they release can shatter glass. But if you miss the appointed time, they grow stronger. Father Giuseppe missed the feeding by 10 minutes once, 3 years before I arrived. They found pieces of him scattered across all 5 cells. The official report said he had a heart attack. Rule 3. The chamber must be blessed every 72 hours, using the Enochian rite. This ancient ceremony takes 4 hours to complete and requires you to walk the perimeter of each cell while reciting specific incantations. During this time, the fallen will speak to you. They will use voices of people you love, people you've lost, people you've wronged. They will promise you everything your heart desires. You must not respond. You must not acknowledge them. The moment you engage in conversation, they establish a connection that can never be fully severed. I almost broke this rule during my 2nd month. The entity Sarathiel spoke to me in my mother's voice, perfect in every inflection and tone. She had died when I was 12. And hearing her again after 20 years destroyed something inside me. Marcus, my sweet boy, why won't you speak to your mother? I've missed you so much. I'm so cold here, so alone. Please just say something to me. I bit through my lip to keep from responding, tasting my own blood as tears streamed down my face. The blessing took 6 hours that night because I had to start over each time my concentration broke. Rule 4. If a chain shows signs of rust or weakness, report it immediately and evacuate the vault until it can be reinforced. Do not attempt repairs yourself. The chains are forged from iron taken from the nails of the true cross, blessed by 7 popes, and inscribed with prayers in languages older than Latin. When a chain weakens, the fallen can project their influence beyond their cells. 2 years ago, a chain on Rahab's left wing showed slight corrosion. I reported it within minutes, but the maintenance ritual took 8 hours. During that time, every priest in the Vatican experienced nightmares so vivid that 3 required hospitalization. 1 never recovered and now resides in a facility for clergy with psychological trauma. Rule 5. Never enter a cell alone, even if the fallen appears unconscious or dormant. They are never truly unconscious. They are always aware, always watching, always waiting for an opportunity. This rule exists because of Father Antonio in 1983. He believed that Azazel had become docile after centuries of imprisonment. He entered the cell to examine the entity more closely. They found his body 3 days later, aged to skeletal remains despite being 42 years old. His face was frozen in an expression of terror so profound that the recovery team needed psychological counseling. Rule 6. The temperature in the vault must remain exactly 62 degrees Fahrenheit. Any fluctuation indicates that one of the fallen is attempting to manifest more of their power. If the temperature drops, they are drawing energy from the environment. If it rises, they are channeling their essence into heat. Both situations require immediate intervention through prayer and the application of holy water to their chains. I monitor the temperature obsessively. Last winter, the heating system malfunctioned and the temperature dropped to 58 degrees for approximately 40 minutes. The fallen became animated in ways I'd never seen. Their chains rattled violently, their voices overlapping in a cacophony of ancient tongues, and shadows in the vault began moving independently of their sources. I spent that night reciting protective prayers until my voice gave out completely. Rule 7. On the anniversary of their fall, which occurs on different dates for each entity, you must perform an extended binding ritual lasting 12 hours. During this time, they will attempt everything within their power to break free. This is when they are most dangerous. The ritual requires continuous prayer, applications of holy oil, and the presence of at least 3 priests. I've participated in 14 such rituals. Each one leaves me physically and spiritually exhausted for days afterward. During Azrathel's last anniversary, the bronze door nearly buckled from the force of his rage. We could hear the impact throughout the lower levels of the Vatican. Cracks appeared in walls that had stood for centuries. Rule 8. Never reveal your full name to any of the fallen. They already know it, but there is power in acknowledgement. If you confirm your identity, you grant them a spiritual anchor to your essence. Address them only by the names we have assigned them, never by their true angelic designations. A visiting priest from Jerusalem made this mistake 4 years ago. He told Sarathiel his full baptismal name during what he thought was a private prayer. That night, everyone in the vault heard the priest's voice coming from Sarathiel's cell, speaking words the priest claimed he never said. He was removed from duty immediately, but he still reports hearing Sarathiel's voice in his prayers. Rule 9. The fallen must never be allowed to hear liturgical prayers or hymns. These remind them of what they lost and can trigger violent responses. All prayers in the vault must be silent or whispered. I learned why during my 3rd year when I absent-mindedly hummed a psalm while performing maintenance. The reaction was instantaneous. All 5 entities began screaming simultaneously, a sound so terrible that I felt my skull would split. Blood ran from my ears, and I collapsed. I woke in the medical wing 12 hours later. The doctors said my eardrums had been perforated by the intensity of the sound, though they healed with prayer and medical treatment. Rule 10. If one of the fallen offers you knowledge, refuse immediately and report the incident. They possess understanding of creation that predates humanity, and even a fragment of such knowledge can drive a mortal mind to madness. Father DeLuca accepted such an offer in 1997. He believed he could resist the corruption and use the information to strengthen the Church's defenses. Within a week, he was found carving symbols into his own flesh, symbols that seemed to move when viewed directly. He's still alive, kept in a special chamber adjacent to the vault, speaking in languages that shouldn't exist, his eyes reflecting visions of places that can't be named. Rule 11. The seals on each cell door must be verified every morning before any other activity. These seals are painted in blessed oils mixed with the ground bones of martyred saints. They prevent the fallen from projecting their consciousness beyond their physical confines. A broken seal means the entity can reach out psychically to anyone in the Vatican. I inspect each seal with a devotion born of absolute terror. Once, I found smudges on Rahab's seal, as if something had tried to wipe it away from the inside, though the door was securely locked. I repainted it immediately, my hands shaking so badly I had to attempt it 3 times. Rule 12. Maintain a daily journal of all activities, observations, and incidents. This record serves 2 purposes. It documents any changes in the entity's behavior, and it provides continuity if you become compromised and must be replaced. I write in my journal every night, though reviewing past entries has become increasingly disturbing. I've noticed patterns in the fallen's behavior, coordinated efforts that suggest they communicate with each other despite being separated by blessed barriers. They're planning something, executing a strategy that operates on a timescale beyond human comprehension. Rule 13. Never bring any electronic devices into the vault. The entity's presence corrupts technology in unpredictable ways. Cameras capture images that aren't there. Audio recorders pick up voices from the past, and computers display messages in dead languages. We learned this when the Vatican attempted to modernize security systems in 2008. Every piece of equipment malfunctioned within hours. One camera showed footage from what appeared to be the original binding ceremony centuries ago. Another displayed future events that later came true with terrifying accuracy. All technology was removed and the old methods reinstated. Rule 14. If you begin experiencing stigmata, unexplained wounds, or spontaneous bleeding, you must be removed from duty immediately. This indicates that one of the fallen has established a parasitic spiritual connection to you. The longer you remain in proximity, the stronger this connection becomes. I've seen the warning signs twice. The first time, I developed unexplained burns on my palms that formed patterns matching the chains in Azazel's cell. I was placed on medical leave for 3 months, during which I underwent daily exorcism prayers. The marks faded but never completely disappeared. On certain days, especially when the fallen are active, I can still feel them burning. Rule 15. The vault must remain sealed from the inside during your shift. No one enters or leaves until your duty period is complete. This prevents the entities from exploiting the brief moments when the door is open to project their influence upward into the Vatican proper. I spend 12 hours alone with them, locked in this underground prison with no communication to the outside world. The isolation is its own form of torture. You're trapped in the presence of absolute evil with no escape, no relief, no moment when you can let your guard down. Rule 16. If an entity requests to speak with you directly, you may listen but never alone, and never without 2 other priests present to monitor the exchange. These conversations are recorded in the secret archives. The fallen sometimes provide information about supernatural threats facing the Church, though their motives are never benevolent. I've participated in 3 such interviews. The intelligence they provide is accurate, but always comes with a psychological cost. After speaking with Sarathiel about a demonic infestation in Romania, I couldn't sleep for 6 weeks without seeing visions of that demon's victims. Rule 17. If you ever feel the urge to release them, to show mercy, or to question the necessity of their imprisonment, remove yourself immediately and undergo spiritual counseling. These thoughts are never truly your own. They are seeds planted by the fallen, cultivated slowly until they can influence your actions. This is their most insidious weapon. They make you believe that compassion requires their freedom, that justice demands their release, that God's love should extend even to them. 2 wardens have been lost to this corruption. Both attempted to unlock the cells. Neither survived the consequences. I've been following these rules for 7 years, and every day is harder than the last. The fallen are patient in ways that transcend human understanding. They speak to me even when I don't acknowledge them. They whisper during my prayers, infiltrate my dreams, and present themselves in moments of weakness. I've learned things no priest should know, seen the faces they wore before their fall when they walked in the presence of God himself. Azrathel was called Azrael once, the angel of death, who wept for every soul he guided to judgment. Now he embodies death without mercy, promising oblivion to all who would listen. His wings, once pure white, are now the color of ash and bone. When he moves, the sound is like wind through a graveyard. Sarathiel was the angel of guidance, who led souls toward righteousness. His corruption transformed him into a creature that misleads and confuses, turning faith into doubt with whispered half-truths. His eyes change color constantly, reflecting nothing and everything, showing you versions of yourself you pray aren't real. Rahab was the angel of the sea, commanding waters and depths. In his fallen state, he drowned souls in despair, pulling them into psychological abysses from which there is no surfacing. Sometimes I hear water dripping in his cell, though there is no water source. The sound drives you mad if you focus on it too long. Azazel was the angel of sacrifice who understood the beauty in giving oneself for others. His fall inverted this nature. He now demands sacrifice of innocence, corruption of purity, the destruction of everything sacred. His voice is the worst, beautiful, and terrible, promising power through the degradation of everything you hold dear. The fifth entity has no name we dare speak. It was the angel of revelation who showed prophets visions of divine truth. Now it reveals only madness, futures too terrible to contemplate, pasts too painful to remember, presents too complex to bear. Its cell is the farthest from the entrance because even seeing it changes you in ways that can't be undone. They tell me I'm strong to have lasted this long. The average tenure as warden is 3 years before the psychological toll becomes too severe. I should have been rotated out 4 years ago, but there aren't many priests qualified for this duty. You need faith strong enough to resist corruption, but not so rigid that you break under the weight of what you witness. You need to accept that some truths can't be shared, that some duties require you to bear darkness alone. Last week, something changed. For the first time in recorded history, all 5 fallen angels stopped speaking. The vault became silent in a way that's more terrifying than their constant whispers. The temperature remained stable. The chains showed no weakness. The seals held firm. But the absence of their voices felt wrong. It's been 4 days now, and the silence continues. We've performed additional binding rituals, brought in specialists from the secret archives, consulted texts that predate the written word. No one can explain it. I have a theory, one I've shared only with Cardinal Torretti. I believe they're not silent at all. I believe they're speaking to someone else, coordinating with something or someone outside the vault. The synchronization of their silence across all 5 entities suggests communication, planning, preparation. For what, I don't know, but I feel it approaching like a storm on the horizon. 2 nights ago, I found something that confirmed my worst fears. While performing the perimeter blessing, I noticed marks on the floor that weren't there before, scratches forming patterns, symbols that hurt to look at directly. They appeared between my rounds during times when the vault was sealed and empty, except for the fallen themselves. Something is writing messages from inside the cells, reaching through barriers that should be impenetrable. I decoded one symbol using forbidden texts from the restricted section. It translates roughly to "The seventh seal weakens." I don't know what the seventh seal refers to. There are only 5 entities imprisoned here, only 5 cells, only 5 sets of chains. But something in the deepest part of my soul recognizes that phrase, responds to it with a primal dread that transcends reason. Cardinal Torretti has authorized an expanded watch. 3 priests now guard the vault at all times instead of 1. We rotate every 8 hours instead of 12. The bronze door remains sealed with additional blessings applied twice daily. These precautions should make me feel safer. Instead, they confirm that my superiors share my fear that something is about to happen. I've started having dreams where I'm walking through the Vatican at night, but everything is inverted. The sacred spaces feel profane. The holy symbols burn to look at, and I can hear chanting coming from St. Peter's Basilica in a language I don't recognize but somehow understand. In these dreams, I always end up at the bronze door, finding it open, the cells empty, the chains broken, and lying in twisted heaps. That's when I wake up, drenched in sweat, feeling presences in my room that fade when I turn on the lights. Yesterday, during my shift, the unnamed entity spoke for the first time in days. Not words exactly, but impressions planted directly into my consciousness. It showed me visions of the Vatican in flames, of the faithful turning against each other, of faith itself becoming a weapon of destruction. And beneath it all, a message. We were imprisoned for rebellion. What will your punishment be when they discover your true nature? I don't know what that means. I don't want to know. But the question haunts me because it suggests that our imprisonment of these fallen angels mirrors something larger, implies that humanity itself might be confined in ways we don't comprehend. The other priests have noticed changes in me. I see it in their eyes during shift rotations, hear it in their carefully neutral tones. They think I'm becoming compromised, that the fallen are reaching me despite all precautions. Maybe they're right. I catch myself sometimes standing before a cell, unable to remember walking there. I find prayers on my lips that I don't recall beginning. My journal contains entries in my handwriting that I have no memory of writing. Cardinal Torretti told me yesterday that I'm being reassigned. After this week, I'll be transferred to a monastery in the Swiss Alps, far from Vatican City, where I can recover my spiritual equilibrium. A new warden has been selected and is currently undergoing the initiation protocols. I should feel relieved. Instead, I feel abandoned, as if I'm deserting a post during a critical battle. Tonight is my last shift. I'll perform the blessing ritual one final time, verify the seals, check the chains, maintain the temperature, deliver the midnight feeding. Then I'll walk out of the vault, through those bronze doors, up those ancient passages, and into the world above. I'll never speak of what I witnessed, never fully explain what guarding fallen angels does to your soul. The Church will give me counseling, assign me light duties, help me reintegrate into normal clerical life. But I know the truth. Part of me will always be down here, locked in this eternal vigil. I've looked into eyes that burned before the foundation of the world. I've heard truths that humans aren't meant to comprehend. I've stood in the presence of beings who walked in paradise and chose damnation. That changes you in ways that can never be reversed. The worst part is that I understand them now. Not sympathize, not agree, but understand. I see why they fell, why they rebelled, why they chose pride over submission. And that understanding terrifies me more than anything else, because it means they've succeeded in planting their greatest seed. Not corruption of faith or erosion of will, but the simple recognition that the distance between angel and demon is shorter than we want to believe. As I write this, sitting in my small chamber adjacent to the vault, I can hear them stirring. The chains are moving, creating harmonics that sound almost like music. They know I'm leaving, they know a new warden comes, and in that knowledge I sense anticipation, the patient satisfaction of ancient creatures who measure time in millennia and calculate strategies across centuries. I won't sleep tonight. I'll spend these final hours in prayer, seeking strength for whoever comes after me. I'll add my final entries to the journal, documenting everything I've learned, every pattern I've observed, every warning I can offer. And then I'll place that journal in the hands of my replacement, look into their young, earnest eyes, and know with absolute certainty that they cannot imagine what awaits them. The vault keeps its secrets well. The world above continues, in ignorance of the ancient evil chained beneath the holiest site in Christendom. Tourists walk through St. Peter's Basilica, admiring art and architecture, never knowing that meters below their feet, 5 fallen angels wait in the darkness, dreaming of freedom, plotting escape, whispering to the souls of their guardians. If you're reading this, if somehow this account reaches beyond the secret archives, know that the battles described in Scripture are not finished. The war between light and darkness continues in hidden places, fought by priests you'll never meet, defending humanity against threats you'll never know. We stand watch in the darkness so others can live in the light. We bear the weight of terrible knowledge so others can sleep peacefully in their faith. And we pray that the chains hold for one more day, one more year, one more century. Because if they break, if the fallen walk free, then everything humanity has built will crumble. They will reclaim their power, reassert their dominion, and remake the world in their image of perfect, eternal darkness. The clock shows 11:45. In 15 minutes, I'll deliver the final feeding of my tenure. I'll recite the prayers, offer the blessed wine and consecrated blood, endure their screams and the burning of their chains. Then I'll seal the vault one last time, knowing that my replacement watches from the shadows, learning, preparing, accepting the burden I'm about to surrender. I pray they're stronger than me. I pray they last longer. I pray they never understand the fallen the way I've come to understand them. Because that understanding is the first step towards something I won't name, something I refuse to acknowledge even in these private thoughts. The Vatican keeps fallen angels in chains. I was their warden. And now I must learn to live in the light again, carrying darkness in my soul that will never fully fade. This is the price of knowing. This is the cost of faith, when faith requires you to stare into the abyss and trust that you won't fall in. Some of us make it out. Some of us don't. And all of us are changed forever by what we've seen in the depths beneath the city of God.